What's up, everybody? This video today is about the exhaust mode selection not available. It's a common recurrent problem in these 2020 through 2022 Shelby GT500s. I actually have a related issue. I have a P0300 random misfire that's related to this. That's the previous video on my YouTube channel. Check that one out. So I have a video also farther back on my YouTube channel that talks about trying to solve this problem. Turned out it wasn't a permanent fix. What I'm showing you today is a permanent fix. Problem with these cars is they have a sharp body panel line that kind of comes down back where the exhaust harness is, and the exhaust either A, slides back on its own, or B, grows back under heat expansion. And I forget the number, it's something like an inch or two. I heard the number before about how much this exhaust system grows when it's really warm at the track or just standing on the throttle a lot. But in any event, where the harness is when the exhaust is cold is a little bit different than where that harness is when the exhaust is warm. It pushes that. So you want to bias this exhaust system forward, but you also are going to have a problem, even with it all the way forward, with the exhaust getting warm, the system's going to grow aft and still rub on that sharp body line. My permanent solution, as I call it, is to cut out that area where the exhaust harness is rubbing. On my car, I had an issue on the passenger side. The driver's side did not appear to be tripping and short and rubbing too much, so I notched out the passenger side. All right, first up, it's going to depend on whether you have somebody to help you or you're doing this project yourself. I was getting ready to do a track weekend and I had this problem. Like I said, it was associated with a random misfire that I needed to solve. I was going to Circuit of the Americas, which is a high-speed, standing on the throttle kind of track. I needed to solve this and I didn't have a helper, so I was doing this by myself. I got the car up in the air. I was not able to remove the whole exhaust system by myself. You need a second set of hands, some more muscle than just by yourself. So I was able to drop the exhaust system down just a little bit and get my Dremel up in the back, up by the passenger side mufflers up around there. It's real tight up in there if you can't remove your exhaust, but if you just drop it down a little bit, you can kind of get access to it and do a little bit of a temp fix. That's what I'm showing here first. This is the driver's side, which was not a problem on my car, followed by the passenger side where you can see the sharp body line and the shorting. It's actually rubbing and shorting, and see the little somewhat burn marks there. But I needed to notch this out. The problem is I didn't have a whole lot of access with the temp solution or the one-person solution. So I just notched out what little I could with the Dremel. Next up is the permanent solution. This is when you have somebody else that helps you. You can remove the exhaust system with two people pretty easily. Third person would be helpful in putting it back together just to help move stuff out of the way when two people are lifting it up. But my son and I did it together by ourselves. Two people can do this job, and this is the permanent fix. This, I brought out the big gun, the DeWalt grinder, and really notched out that area that's causing the problem. So my solution was to notch out with the big heavy-duty grinder. And then once you do that, you got exposed metal. I painted the metal so it wouldn't rust. And then I used body sealer to seal off that area so I don't get any water up in there. All right, so putting this back together, just insert the front tubes loosely. Then you're gonna need 2 people to do this job. 3 people would even be better. One person's gonna be back here muscling up all the weight. You gotta kind of move stuff around here. The harnesses here, as well as the hangers. These hangers up here, you're gonna have to kind of move them around the diffuser. And then, hook these guys in up here. Once you get those in, it'll be supported. Then I put in all 4 bolts loosely. These 4 in the back here, nice and loosely. I also put in these 2 up here, nice and loosely. And then my son, we put a big crowbar up in here protected with a rag against like the backside of this wheel well here, spare tire well, which we don't have, but against there with a rag, and then push on here forward. So you're biasing the whole system forward. And then you have to slide these guys back in, these little over center locks. You got to get these in all the way past. I used a hammer and a screwdriver, big screwdriver, to pound these things towards the engine. Make sure those latches grasp. And then I could look up the torque specs on these, but I just went super tight on these guys. Tighten those 4 down while lifting up and while your partner is biasing forward. So you kind of have the whole system push forward with tension and up, and then tighten those down. And now I need to tighten these 2 guys and those 2 on each side, total 4 in the back. And then do the electrical connections, and it should be good. All right, it's all put back together. Got these over center little locking tabs in place. You can always bend those down a little bit better, get a little bit better bite, and I might do that. This one here is a little bit lower, but bang that one down a little bit. Got these guys tight. I can show the torque specs now. I just went super tight. And back here, use the pry bar against here, biased it forward while I was tightening. My son was pushing forward while I was tightening up front. Got these guys tight, show the torque specs on those again. I just went tight on those. All 4 of these. Oh, by the way, those are 15 millimeters. These are 13 millimeters. These are 13 millimeters as well. I just went tight on these, but I'll show you the torque specs now. All right, let's talk about routing of the harness. I mean, my light. So it unhooks here, little locking tab right there. Came down, I put a zip tie right here through that hole. Goes up, there's a little push pin that's built into the harness, right up there. I've got that pushed into the hole there. Up over the tubing there for the exhaust harness. And then the push pin right there, I'm zooming in on, right there, that goes in towards the engine. And then wrapped up, and of course the visibility up in there is really tight. But let's see, can I get the camera up in there? I cannot. I was able to do all the connections just by reaching up in there and feeling it, and pressing in the little harness connector, and pushing forward on the locking tab. But yeah, it's all up in there and secure, and that's the routing. Same on this side. And I just re-secured this right here with more tape because the tape had come off. That's for that little push pin there. There's a zip tie there, and up and over. This one you can actually see better there. For the rear bottom closeout panel, 10 millimeters on these 2 guys. I just went tight. I'll look up torque specs for you right here. And then 10 millimeters here. Again, I just went tight there. And these guys here are 7 millimeters. Those 2 are just push pins that hold it while you're getting you can hook on the front. It's got 2 little hooks. You can push this up here. That holds it, and then you can tighten all the bolts. Well, that's it. That's my solution for the exhaust mode selection not available for the 2020 through 2022 Shelby GT500. Thanks for watching. See you next time.